Okay, back again for part 3. Really excited to jump back in, actually. I've been working all day and thinking I can't wait to get back from work and play some more of Citizen Sleeper 2. So let's jump in. So where did we leave off? We were at the Helion Gate, I believe. And we are exploring the Prime Ship Mind. Again, really having fun with the game so far. Pretty damn good. What's everybody else's favourite sort of... I was going to call this as an RPG, but I don't think it's an actual true RPG. I think no matter what happens, certain things are predetermined. But I got recommended this game because, funnily enough, a Discord mod for a completely separate game said this game was similar to Disco Elysium. Now, I wouldn't say it's like Disco Elysium. It certainly has a couple of elements, but it's not a true RPG like Disco Elysium. It does have the dice checks or skill checks. It has the sort of social media drop-down style of dialogue or information story, but there's not many other similarities there, you know. But don't get me wrong, it is an RPG, but I would call it more like a softer version of an RPG. I mean, sure, I can pick my skills and I'm an extractor, you know, that's my role. But there's not too much going on here, you know. In Disco Elysium, you look at all the different skills that you can upgrade, it's just crazy. There's so much there, plus the thought cabinet. If you haven't played Disco Elysium, why? It's one of the best RPGs ever created, and it's such a shame that there might never be a sequel, and even if there is a sequel, it might be a disaster because they fired all of the original team. But yeah, enough about Disco Elysium. I can't help myself. I start talking about Disco Elysium, that's it. I just want to talk about Disco. Anyway, we're playing this game right now, which is very good. Again, very good. I like what they've done. Simple, nice story, nice characters, nice graphics. So we just got here, so we've got all our dice. So let's check out. We'll see where we're good. Danger on both sides. I have crap intuition. I have pretty crappy. Looks like Junie will do well on this side, so let's go with Junie's dice. And apologies if you're new to my videos. This is the first time that I've actually read out loud a game with so much what's the word that is escaping me? So much story, so many words to get through. I'm no scholar, you know, so I will trip over my words, I will say things wrong, miss out things, but hopefully you have the patience to put up with my meandering. Let's go again. So we are gonna go with ourself because we have the highest dice right now and we do okay at interface. So let's get our best dice out there. Bliss only has 3s. $25, $50, $25. Let's try this side. No, it's the same results. Let's use up my dice. Damn. I'm gonna activate my push. I'm not using it enough. So that has helped me out with Bliss. Nice. 2 more. Let's try Bliss again on this and explore the ship. Hopefully we'll get this. Nice. Very nice. Junie leads you deep into the wreck. Through crushed and twisted corridors, floating panels and wires appearing suddenly in your headlamps like strange sculptures. Just as you begin to tire of the endless dark and the haze of particles washing over your suit, Junie leads you into a chamber where the ceiling is torn open to reveal the stars. At its center lies a cylindrical object, half your height but raised on a complex pedestal, from which countless thick cables snake off into the dark like braided hair. 1 or 2 of them float freely, waving back and forth with glinting, severed ends, but most of them disappear into the floor and walls, or twist and curve out of sight. Beautiful, isn't it? Junie stares at the prime ship mine, the stars reflecting on her faceplate. It's a mess. She gives you a look. Well, it's what we came here for, so it's our mess now. Junie glides over to the pedestal, pushing her way delicately through the wires. As she takes out her terminal and looks for an access port, she talks, softly, her voice carried through the suit comms. These cables lead off to every one of the ship's systems. Engines, life support, navigation, lighting, networking, you name it. Shipmind has hardwired access to them all. When an old ship like this was running well, the shipmind would distribute itself, some of its protocols running freely in different sections. It would be less like a single governing mind and more like a load of systems clumped together to form a complex living machine. Think of a plant, rather than a being, a plant with incredibly rapid processing power and a much more accelerated response time than your average tree. You watch as she finds an access port and slips a cable inside, slotting a translucent screen onto the top edge of her deck. Let's see here. Junie's screen fills with bright scrolling data. Incredible, there's so much here. She hits a few keys. I'll start copying this over. It's everything I need. You watch as Junie starts rapidly tapping at her keyboard, her attention sucked into the data she is extracting. Wait for her to notice. You wait quietly in the ruined chamber, watching the stars through the ripped roof. You can understand Junie's insatiable curiosity. These wrecks are incredible. Junie suddenly snaps out of her trance. Right. Where were we? The ship mine. Let me check. As I thought, she sighs. So like I was saying, the protocols inside the ship mine are distributed. So when the ship mine is shut down unexpectedly, the protocols are rarely all contained in this unit. She places a hand gently on the cylinder. As is the case here, parts of it are trapped elsewhere, in the ship's systems nodes. She taps a few keys, which is a problem. There's always a problem. Luckily, Junie turns back to you smiling. You have me. If we rip this thing out now, with parts of its protocols elsewhere, it's probably going to destroy itself the moment we turn it on. It doesn't matter that we are going to wipe the whole thing anyway. It'll be too late. The mine inside the ship mine will be broken. But if we find the nodes housing the distributed parts, power them up, and then disconnect them, the protocols will be sent right back into this ship mine here, and we can take it out clean. How do we find the nodes? We either ask the cradle very nicely, or we spend the next cycles following these cables to see where they lead. I've got an incoming signal. Seraphine's voice suddenly cuts through on comms, urgent and nervous. If you're lighting up the systems and networks down there, time to stop. You hear a click as Junie disconnects from the cradle, and the two of you exchange nervous looks, instinctively backing off from the ship mine. Suddenly a faint red light glitters in the dark beyond the broken ceiling. You hold still. The moment stretches out, and you hear Junie's breathing through the comms. The light flashes, pauses, and then fades. You take a breath. Too close. Conway drone, Junie whispers, sniffing the network. We're clear, Seraphine chimes in again. I've turned off almost all the rig's systems, but we need to be careful. Keep network activity to a minimum. Understood, Junie cuts in. But we will need to access the networks to get this ship mine out quickly. Then I hope you are feeling lucky. There's a click as Seraphine closes the line. You and Junie look at each other again, and then at the ship mine, encased in its cradle, wrapped in cables. This isn't going to be easy. We got this. We got this, bro. Oh, so we're good over here. We have good endure. Let's use up these dice. Is it a gamble? It's a slight gamble, but we're okay. Oh, I didn't want that stress though. We really didn't want that stress. Okay, let's get it. Ah, I broke a dice. We can't actually have... No, I can't take any food, can I? Ah, Bliss has got terrible dice. I'm gonna have to use mine. Oh wait, we can use... I'm thinking of the wrong one. I meant Junie. Junie has good dice over for this side. There we go. Starboard node, port node. Okay, let's start with port node. Let's go with Junie's dice. Let's just back out of this one, see what the other one looks like. Terrible. It's a hell of a gamble with these dice. Oh. How long do I have? I'm not gonna gamble. Or should I? Choices, choices. They're such low dice. No, I'm not gonna risk it. I'm gonna end the cycle. I can't repair the... No. We have to get things done this turn if we can, though. Okay, Junie, let's see it. Ah, such bad dice. Let's stick with this side. Come on, Bliss. Crap. No. Oh, man. I can't gamble the dice. I've just been so unlucky. I can't risk those dice. 2 wrong rolls and it's over. Supplies are empty. Fuck, and this is not going good. Well, at least we got 1 high dice. Here we go. Come on, please. Please. How much stress am I gonna get? I don't think I should gamble. Right, I've got the highest dice. Please give me 2. Give me 2. Nice! It's ready, Sleeper. Junie's voice comes quietly through your comms. You look over to her, floating beside the cradle, uplit by the pale screen of her deck. She gives you a reassuring nod. You turn to the prime ship mine, now floating above its cradle, the final nodes disconnected and the locks released. You glide over and gently grab it, the worn metal casing gleaming in the dim light. As you do, you feel a strange sensation of something moving around inside, like a creature in a box, the weight shifting this way, and that under the pressure of your grip. It suddenly dawns on you that Jean-Mi plans to put you inside this strange device, to hold your mind there. While he investigates your body, the thought prompts a shiver. That drone's still sniffing around, Sleeper. Seraphine's voice crackles on the comms. So if you have what you need, let's go. You feel Junie's hand fall on your shoulder. Come on, Sleeper. Don't overthink it. She pats you gently. There will be plenty of time for that later. You look up and see a faint red light glittering in the dark beyond the broken ceiling. Time to leave. Let's get the hell out of here! Leave, 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 leave. Arriving back at the Helion gate, as lonely and cold as it is, feels like a relief. There was a tension in the rig as you came back out of the inner system, a watchfulness for errant signals and glinting red beacons that choked the conversation. But now, floating in the comforting shadow of the vast ruin, the sense of relief is palpable. That's 1 prime ship mind, condition unknown, retrieved. Seraphine runs the engine shutdown protocol as he speaks. I'd mark that as a success. Agreed, thank you. Seraphine waves away your thanks. We're a crew, we work together. Sleeper, can I speak with you? Junie asks from the back of the cockpit. Of course. She leads you into the passage, tucking herself against the wall. She looks small, even in this compact space. Thank you for taking me with you. I hope I proved I am trustworthy. I never doubted you. That's nice to hear. She smiles at the floor. Thank you. In my time here in the Belt, I haven't found it easy to make friends. She falters, tripping over her words slightly. But you, Sleeper, well, I hope you'd consider me a friend at least. I would. She can't help but smile. I'm glad. And I would like to ask you something. She pauses. Would you consider taking me with you on the rig? She blurts out. And then, before you can answer, I think I would be of help for your diagnostic, and in the meantime I can take a look at the ship mine, make sure it is ready, and... Yes, Junie, you can. She stops, speechless. She looks down at her hands and then back up to you. Okay, she smiles. Thank you, She looks down again. I will find a bunk. And she quickly glides off down the corridor, before you can say anything further. Another stray collected. Seraphim puts a hand on your shoulder. Quite the refuge we are building here. Gives you a sly smile. We need her. I don't doubt it. Seraphim squeezes your shoulder. Let's get that ship mine to Flotsam. I'm sure Junie will prove herself there once again. He smiles and pushes off from your shoulder, gliding towards the engine room. You look towards the bunks, but Junie is already out of sight, likely unpacking already. The ship is getting a little crowded, but you are starting to realise that you like it like that. At the very least, she'll prove invaluable when you get to Flotsam and have to deal with Jean-Mi. Perhaps she'll even have a read on the old man. You pause for a second, appreciating the warmth, the hum, of the rig and its inhabitants. This ship, you think, is starting to feel like home. Boom! So... Can I head... Oh. I'd need fuel to get all the way there. I don't need... Well, I do need supplies, but I'm sure one of these I can get food from, can't I? It's gonna have to be supplies then, isn't it? I think I'll end... Yeah. Ah, shit. I forgot to repair my dice. Ah, crap. I wanted to... Oh, nice. I got 3 fuel from that. So I can travel straight there then, can't I? Cool. Wait. What else is out here? What do I need to go Wellspring? And should I just head straight out there? Then return later? What do I need from Holmes Rock? Well, Holmes Rock is where I get a good price for scrap, don't I? So I think I'm gonna go to Holmes Rock, finish the other missions, and then head back. Sleeper. Bliss speaks quietly from the door at the back of the cockpit. Can we talk? You glance over at Seraphin, his head back and eyes closed while the rig cuts through empty space. You don't seem to be needed here. You unclip from your harness and follow Bliss. How are you doing? Bliss glances over their shoulder as they drift towards the back of the ship. The question takes you aback. You can't remember the last time anyone had actually asked, with real intention, how you are. Better than I was. Bliss shoots you a look. That's a good way of thinking about it, I guess. But to be honest, Sleeper, I'm not sure how you are still standing. Breaking out of Darkside, then again in Hexport, those things take a toll. Bliss turns a corner. It's okay to give yourself space to feel that. Bliss leads you off the main corridor into the workshop. They set up, and when they repaired the ship, into the workshop they set. It's confusing because Bliss is a they. This workshop they set up when they repaired the ship. It is small, but its neatly arranged tools and sloped walls help it feel cozy and tucked away. You see improvements everywhere, new tools and equipment. Bliss notices you looking at their upgraded setup. I told you I'd be worth taking along. I never doubted. Bliss raises an eyebrow. Well, that's a lie. They smiled. Feels good to hear, though. Anyway, I didn't bring you here to brag. They pause, or at least not just to brag. They suddenly glance away. The atmosphere in the room shifting. I could see your body is showing the strain, Sleeper. I brought you here so we could talk, could do something about that. They beckon you towards the workbench, where you both settle onto stools. They flick on a small light and aim it at your arm. Let them look. Bliss gently cradles your arm, turning it to inspect the underside. You see tears and holes in the vinyl skin, and dark, moving things beneath. Watch Bliss work. You look as Bliss brings the light closer to the biggest tear, and it glints off the metallic tendons in your forearm. Below them you see something more fluid and wet catching the light. You know you aren't the first Sleeper I've met. Bliss talks while they inspect the rest of your arm. I actually partnered with one of my old repair bay on the eye. Feels like 100,000 cycles ago now, but I remember them. Their precise work, their quiet enthusiasm. There was something calming about their presence. Bliss swaps to your other arm. They were different to you, just like one person is different to another, I suppose. But I can't help but remember that. I was a different person then, that's for sure. They meet your eye. I'm going through something of a transformation myself. What do you mean? Bliss lays both your arms down and leads forward to inspect your upper chest, adjusting the light. I was pretending before, I think, to be the person I was expected to be. They press along the hard protrusion of your clavicle. There were so many calculations I was making, so many corrections. How I held myself, how I spoke, how I reacted. They pushed gently against each of your metallic ribs, one at a time. I didn't realize how tired I was until they stop and sit back, until I gave up. I came here to the belt with someone else, and when I did, I realized this way was my chance to become something new. So I let go of everything. They look away. It was messy, ugly, and the person I came here with, I let them go, too. I was punching out at everything, because it felt like everything was holding me back, stopping me for the change I was owed. Don't worry, they smile weakly. I'm calmer now. I'm not about to explode on you or anything. It's still a difficult process, but it feels like shedding 100 suffocating skins that you spent half your life putting on one by one. They meet your eye. It feels like an escape. They lean forward again and check the skin of your shoulders, where it is worn and faded. You let them. The atmosphere quiet but calm in the workshop. A feeling of solidarity glowing somewhere in your frame. Not bad, Sleeper. You are holding up well given everything. Bliss folds their arms in front of them provocatively. But I'm still concerned. There is some decline to your system functions. Let's keep an eye out for components. Thank you, Bliss. It's no problem. They release from the stool and drift over to the rack of tools. I owe you for jolting me out of whatever my life had become on the far spindle. You leave Bliss to their workshop, feeling reassured that you have them here on the ship. As you do, you think of your relationship to your own body, this frame that you were forced into that has never quite felt like your own. You realize that this feeling is not unique to you. No one gets to choose their body. Everyone has to contend with the entropy of their flesh. And in that, you suddenly feel less alone. Very poetic. Lumpen and cratered, Holmes Rock floats on the sunward side of the belt. Its only notable feature the bright shape of its solar arrays, angled toward the system's distant star. Can't even dock the rig here. Seraphine nods at the bright shape of Holmes Rock lone docking bay. Won't fit. We'll have to park here and go out the airlock. He seems repulsed by the idea. We do that every contract. You do that every contract. Seraphine leans back into his seat. I've got used to sicking them out. Barely seems worth the trip. Bliss speaks up from the back of the cockpit. There are other ships docked. Yeah, looks like a Lortic freighter. Bliss yawns. I guess they might be up for trading. I'll come down later. Don't feel like squeezing into a suit right now. Bliss gives a lazy wave as they glide out of the cockpit. Eugene pokes his head into the cockpit. That rock down there got a bar? He looks between you and Seraphine. No idea, Seraphine sighs. Looks dead. Eugene squints out of the cockpit windows. I see a few worn lights. He shrugs. I bet there's a bar. He disappears in the direction of the airlock. You gaze out over Holmes Rock. It certainly doesn't look very exciting, but there's refueling to be done and maybe more besides. You might even be able to scare up a hot meal. You know, Sleeper, that Lortic freighter means we aren't far from Wellspring. Seraphine gives you a sideways glance. Your sister, I haven't forgotten. Alright then. Seraphine smiles. Appreciate. I heard the pressure of the war in the inner system is having an effect on how the Lortic Syndicate is being run. Just want to get there before something big goes down. He turns back to his console. You look out at the Lortic freighter, painted the same distinctive yellow as the springtide back on the far spindle. You've heard they supply most of the water in the belt. Not exactly an organisation you want to collapse. A light catches your eye beyond the rock, a worn flesh that is gone as soon as it appears. You are at the sunward edge here, and beyond is the inner system. Holmes Rock might look sleepy, but it lies on the shores of a corporate war. Something residents will be painfully aware. Something residents? Resides? I don't know. We haven't got much time here, have we? I could do with getting rid of some of that stress. One stress. I'm gonna gamble. I've got to use it somewhere. Ah, fuck. Gotta remember to repair these dice. But I've got nothing to repair them with. Um... They can source supplies, I guess. Explore the tunnels. Barter with locals. This is where we excel, so... Oh, man. Oh. So we can get food from here? Buy a meal, buy supplies, fill supplies, sell engine components. Oh, I don't want to sell them. Or do I? Yeah, it's not the best use for them. So I'm going to keep hold of them. Can only buy one meal. How much will it? Let's just take a look over here first. Help offload freight. So that's work. So we've got work and fuel here. Okay, good. So let's get some food. Nice. I'm glad it fills 4 bars and not 1. I can't. I thought I could sell scrap here, but I guess I've got more to explore here. We gotta leave pretty soon, too. Give me 2. Come on, give me 2. Nice. Whatever. Gamble. Come on, please. Please, 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 please. Nice. In Holmes Rock, it's impossible to get away from the feeling of living, working, and eating in a ruin. Most of the belt is built on top of the remains of Solheim's infrastructure. But there are plenty of places where the modifications or extensions to those structures eclipse the original foundation. In Holmes Rock, it is the reverse. The station is a small worn patch at the centre of a network of tunnels and bays that stretch within the rock, most of them dark, damp and wrecked. A sprawling foundation that will never be built upon. Every so often, gliding on your way between Senna's Rest and the Sun Catchers, or from the docks to the depot, you find yourself in one of these dark tunnels. That's where you are now. You float, stopped at a 4-way intersection. No light visible down any tunnel. Go straight ahead. You drift straight ahead through a tunnel where loose wires wave in the dark. On either side, tiny lights occasionally blink, signs of a ghost network still running in the walls. You arrive at another intersection, with crooked passages leading away into the dark. Go straight ahead again, I guess. You kick off gently from the wall and head into the cylindrical passage clad with the panels that hold back the rock. It is wider than the others, and here and there little droplets of water float undisturbed. At the far end you see a faint point of light, the warm glow of a lit passage. Suddenly you hear a rustling in the dark and a shrill sound that you can't place. There is something out there. Come on, baby. Oh, fuck. Trying to calm your nerve, you overcompensate and kick off too hard. You fly through the tunnel, droplets of water spatting you, and collide with a metal cross piece you hadn't seen. You bounce off it, tumbling through the air before you catch yourself on the wall. You curse in the dark and move towards the light. Then it hits you, something solid and meaty, slamming into your stomach and spinning away. You press off the wall and push on as a shrill wail echoes behind you in the dark. What the hell was that? When you reach the lit passage beyond, you turn back, but the tunnel is silent and still. You continue on, but you can't shake the feeling of being followed as you ascend back up through the station. Perhaps next time you'll take a different route. Does that mean anything? Would it have mean anything if I went anywhere else? I do not think so. I've no dice, man. Fuck. Well, I've got 3, but... Oh, we've got plenty of these. Bay unsealed. What did that do? New location discovered. So I've got 9 of these, and it gives me... What did it say it was giving me? Let me just take a quick look at the other one. Fix broken arrays, so that's work. Repeatable action, sell raw scrap. Debug array systems. So that's work too. How much do I get for scrap? 13. I forgot what else I can use scrap for. I think I'll just keep hold of like 5 scrap or something just in case. What a song. Love this bit. Money. Right, I'll keep hold of that just in case it's useful elsewhere. So I've got 9 data. And what does it give me? A rare component. And rare components fix my dice, right? Ah, so... So I don't have any scrap components. I see. Well, that's good. At least I get to repair my dice. I have no idea what's going to happen once I get all the way there. It just turns to a pile of scrap, I guess. I guess we're gonna find out. Oh, I don't have enough. Damn it. Was there anything else? Fuel and work. Food and buy supplies. Work and selling scrap. Let's... end the cycle there. I would have thought I'd got some more points to spend on my skills by now. You have to see this, Sleeper. Junie comes to find you in the rig, her face flushed with excitement. At first I didn't believe it. Junie can't help herself while she leads you through the ship. There are mentions occasionally, but I've always understood them to be references to something smaller. A system or unit, not an entire facility, even a series of facilities. You find yourself in one of the more sparse bays of the rig, a corner with a sloped ceiling used for storage. So I checked other records, tried to find correlations, and well, there they were. You see Junie approaching a server stack that she has set up in the corner, her deck plugged in and floating nearby. It would have been faster with the core from the first derelict, she continues at speed. But with what we got from the derelict near Helion Gate, I was able to make do. She looks very pleased with herself. It's really quite something to confirm a rumour like this. I surprised myself. She turns to you, a slightly manic look in her eyes. What did you find? They refer to them as bunkers. Junie shifts to her deck, floating on the end of a thick connecting cable. They were a form of self-surveillance for Solheim, a way of monitoring their own systems and employees securely. They were hidden, mostly automated, linked into the network by arrays, intended for vast amounts of data capture, to be poured over by a small staff. Junie taps a few keys on her deck. Most were understood to have been purged in the collapse, shut down, depressurized, even sent on collision trajectories with other bodies. She pauses. Though I suspect that the last one is a little too far-fetched. I've heard people deny they even exist. That we are misreading the data, that the evidence doesn't hold up. Junie turns the deck screen to face you, but I found one. You see a map, a set of coordinates on the sunward side of Holmes Rock, the edge of the belt. Why are these bunkers so important? We're talking masses of records from the collapse, the kind of lost to a bit rot everywhere else in the belt. The bunkers are what they sound like, closed facilities intended to preserve data. Any one of these bunkers is a gold mine. Junie pauses, at least from a data archaeologist's perspective. She sees your reaction. And, Junie adds, hoping to convince you, in truth, we don't know what else is in there. There could be Solheim-rich tech, blueprints, data never before seen in the belt. We should take a look. I'll give Seraphine the details. She smiles. We could be making history here. You leave Junie in the storage bay, working obsessively through the data. It's hard to know through all the excitement what the real value of one of these bunker facilities might be. But if they are as well hidden as Junie said, there must be a reason. When there's time, you hope to find out what the reason is. New drive available. What's a drive? Not really sure what a drive is, but let's try to... No. I was going to try and get rid of some stress, but I think I'll leave it. Nothing else to be done there, because that was just sell scrap and work. Ah, that's what it was. New drive. Nothing I can do there. Do I need food? Because when I go there, then I'm using supplies. So do I need food? I need to remember to... Let's just stock up anyway. We've got the money. Let's get some fuel. Get plenty of fuel. And I might as well use the dice on doing some work. So we specialize over here at fixing arrays. No work there. We also specialize here. So let's see how much money this earns. $12 cryo. And how much money will this earn? 6. I guess it's not a flat rate though. Let's try again over here. I'm gonna use these dice just to get rid of the glitch on them. Ah well. I tried. Let's head across. Junior's found the location of a bunker. Blah, 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 blah. So, can I select... I suppose I used Bliss for the last mission, so we shall use Eugene. I don't know why I can't use the whole crew. I mean, we're all on the same ship. That's it. Seraphine nods towards the featureless asteroid. Those are the coordinates Junie gave me. You look at the rock. It's like thousands, hundreds of thousands of other rocks in the starward belt. All these objects, much the same, spread across a huge circumference of space. A good place to hide something. That's it? Junie speaks up from the back of the cockpit. That's it, Seraphine confirms. She drifts forward, her eyes tracing the shape of the rock. There, she points. That hexagonal crater. She turns to you. That's the entry. You look at the dark spot on the already dark rock as it starts. It's a start. Manual labor isn't my favorite. Eugene comes in from the corridor. But long lost treasure? I can get into that. You look out at the unassuming rock and wonder what it might contain. A few dusty tunnels? Or something more? Time to go and find out. Let's get it! Right, so... Neither of them are any good for this one. Apart from Eugene. It's a gamble on that dice. It's a gamble, gamble, gamble. Oh, it's bugged. It's pretty much the same. But it is a higher dice. It's risky that side, so... She's got the highest dice. Let's give it a go. Nice. 25%. Try it on this side again. It's 50-50. Oh. Let's go with Eugene's dice. Nice, we got it. Let's go with Junie. $50-50. Let's get this one out of the way. Ah, fuck. I'm just gonna gamble them. Nice. And cycle? Yeah. I know I can use my push, but I don't want to add more stress. We got a broken dice now too. Let's go with Junie's dice. She got some good dice too. When you entered the access spire, the crew suddenly went very quiet. The images of a vast space seen through the viewing windows, the pristine wall paneling, the cool and the quiet. There is a sacred mood to this place, a feeling of hallowed ground. Now as the facility's final entry lock whirs, flooding the passage with stale, dusty 10,000 cycle old air, Junie speaks. It's impossible. She drifts down the spire and out into the cavernous interior. A constellation of red specks mark the vast extent of the space, and within it, a ring of monolithic buildings curves away, running along the circumference of the massive chamber. You follow her, slowly, out of the doorway and into the bunker. With a name like that, you had imagined low, sloped ceilings, stark tunnels, a basement cut into the rock. But this place is a cathedral, a cocoon the size of a city. This is more like it. Eugene follows you into the cavern. This is a treasure house if I ever saw one. We aren't here to loot. Junie turns back to give Eugene a reprimanding look. This is a historic find. Eugene shrugs. Historic or not, it's got to be worth something. Descending to the ring takes a while. Despite the empty space, no one wants to rush through it. The feeling of entering a sacred territory remains. Though the deeper you go inside, the more obvious it becomes that this place is more tomb than temple. You touch down amongst the grey metal units, most of them featureless and dark. They tower above you now, their plain frontages revealing little about their function and interior. Stay close. Junie moves ahead into the gap between two structures. This place is a labyrinth. Welcome, visitors. Who's this? A pale flicker appears near one of the units at the top of a square pedestal. I am the warden. Please provide access credentials. The flicker stabilizes into a figure, a statue of pulsing light. It pauses for a moment before repeating its request. Junie freezes and holds a calming hand out to you. She retrieves her deck, sliding it carefully from her backpack and turns it on. You look over at the warden who waits patiently, white-eyed and absent, restating that its security request with a regular rhythm. You guess that this avatar just exists to make human interactions comfortable. Its true body is the facility itself, the vast interior ring, speckled with sensors and systems. Suddenly the warden stops speaking. Then a flash of red passes along the corridor. Credentials not provided. Lockdown activating in 10, 9. You look over at Junie, whose eyes are rapidly scanning through a screen of full of data. Festning. Junie stumbles through the pronunciation of the passphrase. Lighter. Ildstead. She looks up at the warden's avatar expectantly. The warden flickers again, distorts and then stabilizes. Oversight connection not active. Reattempting. It repeats itself again, then again. Intoning the words in a regular rhythm. You look over at Junie, holding still as if encountering a wild animal. She meets your eye, but gives no indication of any action you might take. Loop bypass engaged. Welcome, officer. The synthetic voice shifts to a different tone. Leonard Dahl. The avatar's white eyes stay blank and blind. And guess. This thing has been working since Solheim collapsed? Eugene raises an eyebrow. Most of those protocols lost their minds long ago. Junie looks back at you, and then at the warden. The figure flickers, staring out over your heads, into the dark. Are we good, Junie? She looks at the warden. Warden, are we approved to access all facilities? Yes, Officer Dahl, the warden replies. Please remember, you are responsible for the conduct of your guests while visiting our facility. Hear that, officer? Eugene grins at Junie. You'll take the rap for me. You move forward, pushing between the structures towards a large building, in the hope that it holds the facility's central data core. As you do, you pass benches, barren gardens and desiccated grass. A drinking bottle floats in the air, amongst the dust and motes. This place is dead. Be aware, officer. The warden reappears in the dark, shimmering on a pedestal. Due to this facility's expended run cycle and the activation of the hibernation protocol, access to the central data store will be strictly limited. However, if you wish to show your guests the habitation facilities, I'm sure they will enjoy the tour. The avatar remains expressionless, disconnected from the voice that accompanies it. On a personal note, I am glad to see you return to the facility. The figure flickers. I am happy to report that I am ready for program reactivation at any time. Junie stares at the avatar. Thank you, Warden. She pauses. Can I ask how long ago the hibernation protocol was activated? Certainly. 11,473 Helion standard cycles ago. The warden distorts. If I am in error, I apologize. Some subsystems have not been properly maintained. You look at the blind avatar standing on its pedestal, waiting for an order that will never come. So many cycles in the dark, patiently holding this place together as it fell apart, resisting entropy in its bubble of the past. Thank you, Warden. That'll be all. Junie nods to the avatar, which promptly blinks out of existence, leaving only the dust and the dark. She turns to you and speaks quietly, though none of you know what sensors the Warden's vast body might have. My access, it won't last long, she sighs. We need to make the most of this. We'll go for the core. The Warden won't like that, but it's where the data is. She glances around. We can try to be delicate, take it little by little. I don't know how long this will last. Junie sighs. Let's get on with it. Ring facility. Bunker core. So these are components and stuff, but the priority needs to be the core. So this is where we're gonna down. It's not looking good, bruv. Nice. Nice. Let's go with Eugene. Nice. Nice. It's 50-50. Damn. Let's try to get rid of this dice. Nice, nice, nice. We got it. Done. Junie removes her cable from the data core's port. She looks up from the boxy piece of hardware, one that wouldn't fit inside any ship short of a freighter, and stares at the domed ceiling above, an oculus at its apex, letting a shaft of light into the hull. It's a grand piece of architecture for what amounts to a massive piece of data storage. But then Solheim always did have a sense of grandeur when it came to its project. Why should a secret signal monitoring a facility be any less opulent than its other buildings? You find anything good? Hard to tell. She squints at the vast data core. There's too much in there. I barely scratched the surface. We'll only know what's really there when I have time to process it. We should go. Junie sighs. I'm not sure how the warden will react. She looks back over her shoulder at the vast core. I don't think we'll be let back in to get more. As if listening for its name, the warden suddenly apparates on one of its pedestals. It stirs, statuesque, across the hall, its eye line way above your head. Officer Dahl. Its voice sounds strange now, stretched, drawn out. I have detected inconsistencies in the central data core. I believe there may have been an unauthorized access. Junie looks at you nervously. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. I will investigate when I can, but for now, my guest and I, she looks at you, have to depart. The warden flickers. The warden bends and warps. The warden screeches a pulse of digital noise. Of course. The warden's voice is still broken, still slowed. I hope you enjoyed your visit to this facility. Junie looks up at the blind statue. Something is moving inside it, making its skin, if it has a skin, bend away from its body. Let's go, Junie. Junie nods and glides with you out of the domed hall. You and Junie kick off from the ring, outside the core, and rise up towards the spire you entered through. As you do, you watch a few of the red lights embedded into the framework of the cavern flicker. Junie turns to you as you ascend through the dark. Do you think the warden is sentient? I mean, as a sleeper, maybe you. She goes quiet. I thought you might know. I don't know. Yeah. Junie nods. Me neither. She looks up to the approaching spire. Eugene is waiting for you in the access spire. Let's bury this coffin. Junie cycles the airlock and you go through. Now in your suits and helmets, ascending the sealed spire. As you do, you look out of the viewing window and something catches your eye. The ring's red lights and those few left on the inside of the cavern are turning off, layer by layer. You turn to Junie, but she is already looking out the opposite side. The warden is shutting it all down. Junie pauses. She's ending it. You have to force the hatch back open at the top, and by the time you do, the spire is dark inside, the pristine walls no longer lit. You come out of the canvas of stars, an impossible number of them, spread out in every direction. You take a moment to look at them. After being tucked away in the bunker, they seem impossibly bright and impossibly beautiful. You glance across at Junie and see she is looking up at the stars too, absorbing their light, as if doing so might lift her out of this time and into another one, where things were different. So I've still got some time to do this, which is what I am gonna do. Let's see it, Eugene. Please. Ah, fuck. Try again. Try again. Come on. You got it this time. Nice. We got a little bit of Solheim tech, which is good. Junie's dice are pretty bad. I reckon we just rest for a cycle. We've got enough supplies. Two broken dice though. Damn. Right, who's got high dice? I've got 5s. Let's go with mine. Nice. Nice. Let's go with Junie. Very nice. Come on, Junie, for the win. Nice. Come on. Nice. Solheim souvenir. Sweet. There is an unsettling quiet to the hab units of the facility, a soft silence that blankets every room and hallway. It is obvious from the number of rooms, the detritus, the scale of the place, that it was built to house hundreds, maybe thousands of people. Perhaps it did. Perhaps the height of the Solheim's control of the system, these rooms were filled with life. What kind of life would it be though? Maintaining and running a secret installation inside a distant rock. No sun to speak of. No outside beyond the vast cavern that surrounds you. An eternal dark, punctuated by the flash of artificial light. And yet even in such places, lives grow. You know that yourself from being a sleeper. From your work among other sleepers in the most wretched and distant corners of the surrogate systems. Even in the endless dark, people find ways to live. Come take a look at this. Judy is searching on her own, a few rooms away. You glide through an open doorway into a living room with couches meant for zero-G use, a magnetic table, and a window that looks out to the regular constellation of red lights that describe the limits of this world. Judy is holding an object that makes you stop still and stare, blinking at what seems like an unusual reversal of scale. It is a model, you realise, of the rig. Not your rig, obviously, but a rig. Or an MEV. Rigger class, as the plaque on the base tells you. Mobile extraction vehicle. Junie follows your eyes to the plaque. Rigger class. Rigger class? She frowns. Seriously? That's why we call them rigs? She laughs. The noise bounces back hard and cruel in the empty room. What does rigger mean anyway? She sighs. Another Solheim mystery. You look at the model, still fascinated by seeing your ship rendered in such careful detail. You try to imagine what this model meant to those who lived here. A child's toy? A meaningless corporate kickback? Knick-knack? The model's purpose remains opaque. There were so many of these flying around the system before the collapse, you know. You know? You know? Junie turns the model over in her hand. Solheim used to rent them out to colonists. I've seen the records. That was what they did here. They claimed the system, then rather than exploit it themselves, they provided goods and services to those who would. The workers paid for transit to the system, then accommodation, equipment, and access to mining claims. Other cores like XPR or Neovend paid Solheim to access the closed market to provide other services. Meanwhile, Cybele paid even more to test terraforming tech in the system. They built massive projects here, rich from work they only facilitated but never undertook. But then they collapsed. Yeah, that's what happens when you are built on other people's work. A few high-profile accidents, malfunctions, and the exodus begins. Once it starts, the shareholders lose trust and... Junie turns and squints out of the window. Here we are at the far end of it. Here, Junie turns and hands you the rig model, a gift. You take it and turn it over in your hands. You see something on the base, some words scratched in that you can't read. You run your fingers over them, touching the past. That's the closest thing to a treasure I think will turn up out here. Junie sighs. The people who worked this place didn't have much to their names, it seems. And what little they did have, well, Solheim owned that too. She leads you out of the hab units, passing countless doors, some sealed, some open, that lead to countless rooms where countless employees live lives, or tried to, in the shadow of Solheim. Like it or not, this is what made the Helion system, what built the decaying structures you cling to as they orbit their star. What that legacy means now is a decision every resident of the Starwood Belt has to make. Get on up out of here! Let's go! Seraphin settles the rig at Holmes Rock. The old Salheim arrays glinting in the sun. Looking out at the station, you suddenly remember the model Junie gave you, and you take it out of your pocket, seeing it in full light. You notice it's made from cast metal, unsurprisingly detailed and robust looking. Well, look at that. Seraphin glides over. It's a mini rig. You let him take it. He turns it over in his hands, looking at it. What a find. He gazes at the model ship. What are you going to do with it? Mounted on your console. Really? Seraphin grins. Well, we can do that for sure. He looks at the model for another moment, then pats you on the shoulder. Good call. Everyone can enjoy it then. He takes the model and glides over to his console. I'll get it sorted. He turns back, smiling. Gonna look great. Sleeper. Junie puts her hand gently on your shoulder. You turn to see her smiling a rare smile. Thank you for going out on a limb for me. I know that wasn't the most profitable job, but what we've found. I'll be thinking about it for, well, forever. I managed to extract some data that you can use, and I'm going to search through everything we pulled out of the bunker. Junie looks down. I want to show it was worthwhile. It was worthwhile. She nods. I'm glad you think so. I'll also start seeing where to find the kind of tools I need to work with data like this. Her smile is fading already, replaced by a familiar determined stir. We can't let it go to waste, but my deck is not going to be enough. Darkside might be the only option. It's the biggest remaining Solheim facility in the belt. She sighs. I'll look into it. Either way, thanks for bringing me with you. I'm glad to be part of this. She smiles. The smile returns. For as long as you'll have me. She looks away nervously, and then before you can respond, she's gone. Off to find a corner of the ship where she can dig through the data she pulled from the past in order to build a better future. Major drive completed, and we have points. But where do I want to put them? I'll go with... I don't suppose it matters too much which one I go with. Or maybe I should spend them both here. But it feels like I've wasted the last 2 points I was holding on to. No, let's just spend them over here. Let's go with engineer. Sweet. Sweet as a gnat, mate. Sweet as a gnat. We have plenty of fuel. What do we need to head back? We need 6 fuel. Oh, but we still need to go here, so we need 6 fuel to get there. Okay. No problemo, man. Supplies. Fill supplies. 60? Seems expensive. Shit. It does seem expensive. Oh, we can do... Yeah. It's collapsed. Ah. We're gonna keep the scrap. So there's some work here. But this was giving me the most work, money, wasn't it? So I also need... I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the rig. I'm gonna fix the dice. I'm going to relieve some of the stress. Nice. So let's stock up on fuel. Stock up on supplies. And then move on. Because I could stay another cycle, but I want to reduce my hunt level. So let's head out. I gotta quickly take a pee, BRB. Coming back up, Frank. Come on in. Up. Up. There we go. There we go, the pupper. Hello, pupper. Mind out, I don't want you to fall. Right, okay. Seraphim. The shout echoes through the ship, reaching you in the cockpit. You see the angle of Seraphin's head change, but he does not respond otherwise. Stay out of it. You stay silent. This doesn't concern you. Seraphin! You recognize the voice now. It's Bliss. Moments later, they come into the cockpit. Is no one listening? They look between the two of you. I guess that means one of you is guilty. Bliss shakes their head. Come on, you need to see this. You follow the irritated Bliss through the ship, down into the cramped storage units tucked between the main ship and the hull. As you enter, you are greeted by total chaos. Amber globs of liquid ration float in the air and cling to the walls, while chunks of dried food spin slowly, breaking into crumbs. See? Bliss fumes. Someone opened up one of the supply crates and left it like this. They point to a crate in the storage netting with the lid pushed open. You look at the mess spilling out from the crate. Who could have done this? I don't think Seraphim did this. Bliss looks around at the floating food. Who then? You can see they doubt Seraphim did it. Too. But they clearly need to direct their anger at someone. You look across the cloud of food and drink, glittering in the rig's fluorescent lights. What a waste. Bliss puffs out their cheeks. I need a break from this ship. They look at you. Help me tidy this up. You spend the rest of the journey packing the crate away and disposing of the spoiled supplies. As you do, you can't help but wonder what actually happened here. When you are finished, you take one last look around the storage bay. As you gaze around the now cleared space, you have the same feeling of being observed by unseen eyes as you felt in the tunnels of Holmes Rock. As he brings the ship into Wellspring's docking ring, you notice a rare tension in Seraphim's piloting. He jerks the stick a little too hard while the docking bridge extends, and the proximity alarm goes off. He curses under his breath. Relax, it'll be okay. I've docked this ship 100 times, Sleeper. He keeps his eyes on the monitors. I am relaxed. That's not what I mean. Seraphim doesn't respond, but you see him grip the rig's controls a little tighter. As the ship stops, the docking bridge connected. You lean forward and look out of the cockpit windows, trying to get a good view of the icy surface of Wellspring below. The harsh, gleaming ice gives way to the steep sides of the cut. The asteroid's one city. It glows and steams with warmth, and peering down into it, you cannot see the bottom. Beyond, along the horizon, you see the terraces of the pit head, where the current extraction effort must be taking place. Seraphim runs the shutdown sequence and unclips from his seat. He turns back to you, a flinty look in his eyes. I'm going to head down into the cut. I've got a few leads to follow up on. You get the sense he isn't asking for permission. Fine by me. He nods, grunts, and glides out of the cockpit. You turn and watch as he pushes past Bliss in the doorway. I missed something? Bliss shoots you a look. He seems even more irritable than usual. Oh, I don't even know what I said then. Bliss raises an eyebrow. Family trouble? That'll explain the irritation levels. I would recommend they zip up the jacket. We go after him before he pushes past someone that pushes back. Let's leave him to it. Fine, but we are going to need a pilot if you ever want to leave this place. Let's hope he's feeling sensible. Looks like a stopover at Wellspring for a bit then. They zip their jacket. I'll be in the markets. At least Lane's unlikely to come out here to pick a fight with the Lortic Syndicate. Bliss shrugs. They turn and head towards the airlock, whistling softly as they do. Eugene comes out of the side door as Bliss passes. He stretches and squints at you. Permission to find a bar down there? He grins, just joking. I know I don't need to ask. He winks and follows Bliss. I'll wait with the ship. Junie's voice echoes through the thin interior wall of the corridor. I've got archiving to catch up on. She pauses. There's nothing older than 1,000 cycles on that snowball anyway. Wellspring, the base of Lortic Syndicate. As you look out across its icy surface, you remember Malik, the captain whose ship you saved, and for whom you surveyed the ice asteroid. You also remember how he promised to repay you for your actions should you ever cross paths again. Perhaps Wellspring is a good place for you to make that happen. After all, if Seraphine's sister is here, surely the Lortic system would be the best place to find her. Is that all that's here at the moment? Oh no, there's something here. Poopy poops. Let's get rid of this dice. Nice. Amazing to think this place supplies most of the belt's water. Bliss looks across the cutwater at the workers in their distinctive yellow gear. No wonder the Syndicate runs it like a corporation. You look at those gathered in the low-ceilinged bar, gathered around cushioned couches and low magnetic tables, the voices bouncing off the metal walls. All of them wear Lortic clothing, a mark of their status as contractors for the belt's most powerful syndicate. At the far side of the bar you spot Eugene, perched at a magnetic table with a bunch of miners. He appears to be playing some kind of local dice game, although given the amount of alcohol involved it's hard to tell if gambling or drinking is the focus. You look back to Bliss, who is watching another group, quietly discussing something serious in the opposite corner. I don't like it one bit. Bliss turns back to the bar and sips their drink through its metal straw. The contractors seem happy right now. They glance at you, though people usually are when their shift's done for the day. I've been looking around Chasm Row, searching out components in the market. Down there, people don't seem happy. Bliss meets your eye. There's a lot of talk of contracts. It seems Lortic's been locking down its workers, giving the war in the inner system as an excuse. They play with their metal straw, swirling the orbs of liquid in their sealed glass. The pressure is building, Sleeper. We shouldn't hang around here much longer. They sigh. We need to give Seraphine time. Well, Bliss raises an eyebrow. It sounds like I'm not the only outsider who's been hanging out in the Chasm Row. I heard someone complaining about a rude young man asking too many questions. Bliss smiles. Who else could that be? They laugh. That's the place to start if you want to find our boy. They said he was asking about the Rhyme Market, but I have no idea what that is. Bliss looks out across the bar. Definitely a touchy subject for locals though. I'm not in a rush. Me neither. Bliss swirls the straw. The drinks here are pretty good. But something's coming. Trust me on that. You leave the cutwater, shouldering your way through a crowd of boisterous contractors. There is a conspiratorial mood to the conversations now that Bliss has mentioned it, and you wonder what all the talk is about. You hear a bellowing laugh from Eugene as you slip out of the bar. Better leave him to it. You feel the sudden cold as you leave the steaming bar and enter one of the icy passages cut into the asteroid itself. All this water in the hands of a single syndicate. If something goes wrong here, the belt will die of thirst long before the war reaches it. You turn up the collar of your jacket against the cold and head for Chasm Row. You know, I've not looked at my actual avatar all that much. It looks so cool. With my little, what I presume is some sort of extractor gun of sorts. And look at all the tendons in my forearm. All the wiring and stuff. It looks so cool. So I can buy food here. And do a shift. Fuel. Do a shift. Buy supplies. Find the Rhyme Market. That's all that's up here. Ice extraction facility. So I need a pass for that. Okay. But I have no dice left. So I need to rest. What do I want the crew to do? We're gonna need fuel. So... let's get them to do some fuel. End the cycle. Although, it turns out I'm not very good at this one either. This must be intuition. Damn, I'm losing money on it. Okay. Let's get some food. Buy a meal, please. The markets of Chasm Row have become familiar in the past cycles. Their steaming, orange-lit depths, the persistent condensation on each unit's windows, the gleam of the amber workers' suits, each contributing to the particular atmosphere of this buried city. But among this, you have noticed other details too. The freelance crews on the hunt for illicit tech, the conversing workers who drop to a whisper when you pass, the light flickering up through floor grates, suggesting even deeper layers. These are the details you have followed to the Rhyme Market, a place discussed in hushed tones in dimly lit rooms. And as you drift towards what you know to be one of its entrances, the door bursts open in front of you. A large dark bundle glides out of the door and impacts the metal wall of the passage with an echoing bang. But your eyes are drawn by the imposing figure that hovers over the doorway, bracing himself on the frame. Stay out of it, right? Stay out of the Rhyme Market, rat. The man sends an orb of spit spinning after the bundle. The bundle unfolds and you suddenly recognize Seraphine, winded but straightening up to the back for more. To go back for more. Stop, Seraphine. There, nice. You rush up in front of Seraphine as he prepares to kick off back into the fight. At the sight of your determined face, his brewing anger is halted, and a confused look crosses his face. Sleeper? What are you doing? Seraphine exhales in frustration. His anger fades, replaced by the stinging pain of his injuries. You watch a perfectly rounded blob of blood form at the bottom of his lip. Want to explain what's happening? For the record, the man folds his arms. This one started it. He looks between the two of you, snooping around our meeting like a rat. You see his sharp eyes recalculating the situation since your arrival. I wasn't snooping. I'm looking for someone. Seraphine glares. If you'd taken a minute to talk to me before throwing a punch, maybe you would have got that. The man scratches at his beard, squinting at Seraphine. Say I believe you. What were you doing at the meeting then? Missing persons ain't our business. All I heard is that this is where the Lortic contractors meet. Seraphine sighs. I don't like you hearing that, not at all, and I'm going to need to ask you who told you that later. He straightens up. But yeah, this is where the contractors meet. As if that's anything to you. The person I'm looking for is a contractor. Seraphine's frustration rises again. She uses the cover name Luz. He pauses, a desperation entering his voice. Please. I think she might be my sister. Something changes in the man's stance. He holds up a massive hand to silence Seraphine and looks down the passage in both directions. Not here. He retreats through the door. Get in. As you both enter, he reaches past you and slams the metal door behind, spinning the locking wheel with one hand. I'm Kirk, he grunts, pointing at himself with a thick thumb. Contractors are my concern, but if Lortic catch us discussing contracts out here... He shakes his head. He turns and leads you down the passage. You pass an open door, and you glance inside to see a group gathered in a circle, all of them in workers' clothes. They are speaking in hushed voices. One of them exchanges a nod with Kirk. Let's not interrupt the meeting anymore, shall we? He glares playfully at Seraphine, who remains silent. Kirk leads you to the side of a massive vertical metal pipe with a rough hole cut in the side. He beckons you both inside. You descend through the pipe in silence and darkness. Suddenly, you come out through the ceiling of a wide and low hall. As far as you can see, crooked stalls and makeshift shelters dot the grilled floor, lit by scavenged lanterns and light strips. Steam drifts up through the grates, concealing the room so that you cannot see the walls. Welcome to the Rhyme Market. Kirk gestures a thick hand at the ramshackle interior. Lortic don't know about this place. He smiles. Let's get a drink. He leads you off to a nearby stall with a set of improvised stools welded to the floor in front. He hooks his legs onto one, and you and Seraphine follow suit. He holds up 3 fingers to the stall's owner, and a drink in a straw-pierced packet is handed to each of you. Seraphine looks skeptically at the drink. We friends now or something? Look, Kirk takes a sip. I'm not going to apologise for putting you on your arse. That's on you. But like I said, I represent the contractors. And if someone is part of the family, well, he shrugs his massive shoulders. Then they deserve to be heard out, at least. Let Seraphine speak. Enough. You know her, Luz. I saw it in your eyes. Seraphine glares at him. Where is she? Describe her. Kirk leans back on his stool. I'm not giving you anything more until you prove she's your sister. Seraphine closes his eyes. Dark hair, used to wear it long and messy, bright eyes, broad shoulders. You see a little twitch around his eyes as he recalls. Tough but kind, tattoos, nervous laugh. He opens his eyes and glares at Kirk. That enough? Kirk sniffs. Yeah, that's her. You feel something jump in Seraphine, an almost imperceptible tension rising. It's her, his sister. Luz. Kirk speaks slowly, drinking between. But whatever her real name is one of the contractors here. She's part of the most recent contracts Lortic registered. That means... Just tell me where she is. Seraphine demands, his impatience getting the better of him. As I was saying, Kirk gives Seraphine a pointed look. Those new contractors are restricted to the pit head. In fact, that is what we were discussing when you interrupted our meeting. Seraphine looks away in frustration but holds his tongue. Since the war, the Lortic Syndicate has been trying to lock down Wellspring. They went from a loose association of mining groups to an autocracy. and started enforcing contracts with some seriously overreaching terms. Your sister, she's one of those contracts. Lortic are acting like they own her and the others, because according to their contracts, they do, which is exactly what we want to do something about. This cycle, he forcefully taps the bar with a finger. We are voting on strike action and a full blockade of Flotsam. We will bring the syndicate to the table. Seraphin knocks his drink away and kicks off from the table, disappearing into the market. Stay with Kirk. Kirk watches Seraphin go with a disappointed look in his eyes. Your friend will go to the Lortic syndicate. I know it. He sips from his drink. They won't help him there. Kirk's bright eyes meet yours. The syndicate will do nothing for him or for you. Trust me. I want to help you, Sleeper. I want to help your friend. But I need your help in return. I want help. Good. Kirk nods. I knew you would. Kirk places a plastic pass card into your hand. It glints the mark of the Lortic syndicate, a blurry ID photo laminated into its transparent interior. This will get you into the pit head. You can see for yourself what's happening there. Don't follow your friend to Lortic. Go to the pit head. Find Luz yourself. He meets your eye. When you do, come back to me, and we can discuss how to free her and everyone else like her. If you go to Lortic, if you meet with them, I can't help you. He releases your forearm and drifts back into the crowd, disappearing into the steam and darkness. You catch up with Seraphin in the bustle of the Rhine market, among the steam and crowds. I can't have been the only one who saw his pitch coming a mile off. Seraphin is bristling with anger. What kind of idiots does he think we are? Is that what this is about? This is about getting my sister out of whatever mess she's gotten into. Seraphin starts to push through the crowd towards the exit tunnel. We need to speak to Lortic. Forget these clowns. He shoves his way forward. We don't need to get tied up in this. We just need to get her out. Seraphin forges on ahead, and you get caught in a crowd behind him. As he disappears from view, you curse his impatience. You float there for a moment, buffeted by passing people, clutching into the Lortic pass, trying to decide what to do next. I'll be back in a sec, guys. Just gotta put some food in the oven. Okay, so I don't want to go to the Lortic syndicate. So, syndicate command, I don't want to go there, do I? What's this again? Just give me 1 second, guys. Oh, this is the pass that he gave me, isn't it? Sweet, so we're in. Some sneaky beaky times. Ah, I have crappy intuition. Let's readjust my seat and adjust my microphone. Okay, let's do this. Crap, I wish I had some better dice right now. Ah, shit, I'm doing the wrong side. Oh no, I'm so stupid. Yeah, let's end the cycle. I'll use the 3 dice first. The shaft descends towards a sump in the depths of the pit. Here, the air is freezing cold. To prevent the ice from melting into globals of floating water. If your breath carried water, you would be able to see it in the air, but the absence of steam in each exhalation only serves to remind you of your own strangeness. Not that anyone notices, the workers' heads are low, their eyes fixed on their work, shuttling chunks of ice and tools up and down the shaft. At the end of the nearby tunnels, you see the bright sparks of ice cutting in progress, slabs hanging in the air that in that strange way they do in Zero G. Some loose memories of the time before Darkside, before Lane, before Freedom come into your mind. The familiarity of the cold, the sparks, the endless toil. It chills you more than the packed ice on either side of you ever could. You reach the bottom of the shaft, a metal grill marking the terminus. It squeals as you push open the barred door set into it, and safety lights flicker on, lighting up glittering ice particles all around their hard beams. It is as if all the stars are held here, in this cavern. As your eyes adjust, the massive space comes into focus. It seems to have had no up or down, just countless dark shafts and terraced pits cut into its side, all around silhouetted by their work lights. Contractors cut and haul and gather. Is this where those locked-in workers are being held? Caught in a contract clause that permits an endless shift? The atmosphere is grim. At the centre of the cavern floats a construction of welded together habitation units. A heavy twist of cables stretches from this improvised structure past you and up the shaft behind, tethering it to a central power source. On each of the 6 sides of this strange apartment block, a set of struts project outward, bracing the construction against the cavern walls. The block itself is wrapped in insulation, clad in protective plates. It glows with small apertures and lights. You approach the nearest entrance. Everything is bitten by rust, by decay. If the bars on the entrance weren't a clear enough indicator, it is obvious now that this place is a prison. The door scissors open, letting out a blast of warm air. You quickly duck inside and it seals rapidly behind you. The cramped interior passage glows warmly, but its ragged condition keeps it from feeling cozy. You follow the corridor, ducking beneath hanging wires and loose insulation. This is where you were told you will find Luz, or whatever her real name is. You come into a communal mess. Counters and food preparation units fitted into the walls. Cushioned stools and couches scattered around. A couple of contractors are stretched out in the space, one of them snoring loudly in the corner, another sipping from a food packet or on a stool. Suddenly a door on the far side opens out to the cavern, letting in a flurry of ice shards that quickly become scattered orbs of water. You watch the figure as they glide into the warm light of the interior, with their dark hair and bright eyes, and know this is who you are looking for. You meet eyes with her, and something sparks in that dull and cloying room. It's as if she recognizes you. Sleeper? She looks in a haze, her hair stuck to her forehead with sweat, her eyes still adjusting to the interior. Luz? She nods slowly. You see her scan you, taking in your clothes, the way you hold yourself, your face. For a moment you feel exposed, aware of your damaged vinyl skin, your industrial markings, your doll-like features. You feel the similar sense of being objectified, but also something warmer below it. a recognition of what you are. She blinks, exhales, and shakes her head, realizing she is mistaken. Give me a sec, alright? I just finished cutting 100 cubic meters of ice. She pulls back her hood. Haven't seen you down here before. They just contract you or something. The tension drops, but you get the feeling she isn't quite looking at you. She crosses to a food unit and pulls out a packet, slotting it into a warmer. She thumbs it on. First sleeper I've seen in a long while. She doesn't take her eyes off the slowly warming food. You'll do okay down here. I know you folks are tough and stick with a job. That's good. The rest I can show you, once I've eaten. She laughs a little to herself. I'm not here to work. I know the feeling. But if you are on a contract, they've got you. She pauses, her eyes not leaving the warmer. You'll get used to it. It's a little difficult at first, but you will. Stop, we need to talk. She turns to face you, and you see a wet shine to her eyes. What are you going on about? You realise what you need to tell her. Seraphine is on Wellspring. The warmer chimes to let her know the food packet is ready. But she doesn't seem to notice. Seraphine? She takes a ragged breath, then steadies herself. Here? That's what I've been saying. Sorry, She pauses, shaking her head slowly. It's been a long time. Well, if he trusts you with his name, I guess I should trust you with mine. She comes closer. I'm Tala. She smiles a warm smile. Now where is my idiot brother? I'll take you to him. She laughs nervously. Sorry, this is not what I was expecting on my lunch break. Tala suddenly seems to take on some energy. She glances towards the corridor behind you, and the door at its end. I sure hope you have a plan, Sleeper, because they do not want us locked-in contractors getting out. She moves towards the corridor. There's security in the shaft, and then again at the pit head. You must have passed through the checkpoint at the entrance too. I doubt we can bypass all those. She turns back, grabs her food packet, smiles at you, and shepherds you towards the corridor. You could run a distraction maybe. Or is Sarah on that already? You are slightly taken aback by her sudden change. We're going to have to. A blurring alarm sounds inside the habitation module, loud enough to wake the sleeping contractor with a start. You and Tala exchange glances. Surely this can't be for you. Tala rushes down the corridor and tears open the door at the far end, with you following close behind. The ice scatters, glittering in the interior light. The cavern is in chaos. You see dark-suited low-tech security wrestling with contractors, lit by flashing red lights. More contractors are coming in through the door in the grill you entered from, carrying bulky equipment. The equipment is blurring out a voice, Kirk's voice, echoing around the cavern. A look of panic crosses Tala's face. A general strike is now in effect. All contractors should down tools and hold in place. Extraction will cease until our terms are met. Kirk's voice distorts and shifts. 1 second. We have I just need to adjust my microphone again. We have blockaded all traffic to and from Wellspring. We seek the resignation of the syndicate's leadership and for a new workers' council to be installed in its place. This cycle, we will shut down the shaft. Any worker not willing to strike should leave now. There is a screech of noise and the message begins repeating. You watch as the security are pushed back towards the grill, outnumbered by the gathering workers. Tala looks at you for guidance. Now's our chance. Tala looks around the cavern, the red light reflecting in her wide eyes. She sighs. I need to stay. I won't abandon the others. What about Seraphine? Tell my brother what's happening. Tell him I'm not leaving until all of us are free. Tala backs away, glancing over her shoulder at the others. You see them gathering their tools and taking them back to be locked away in the hab module. I need to see this through. Sleeper. And you need to go. Find Seraphine. Do what you can from out there. Help us change this place. And with that, she turns and glides off towards the others. You turn and head for the grill as quickly as you can. The way now cleared by the contractors, the handful of Lortic security pushed back up to somewhere near the pit head. As you ascend, other contractors shooting you dark looks as you do. You realise you have to speak with Kirk. You find Kirk at the pit head, directing contractors to barricade the entry points to the mine. So you took my advice. Good. Kirk smiles. We're glad to have you as an ally here, Sleeper. What happens now? The Syndicate was arrogant. They did not believe we could do this. Kirk gestures towards the contractors welding plating across the checkpoints. But we far outnumber them. The monopoly ends here. How can I help? Kirk leads you a little way away from the contractors. If you want to free those like Seraphine's sister, I will need your help. We have ships, but not many, and the Syndicate still has tankers in operation. Our blockade is not complete. The debris field between here and the far spindle remains open. We need another tanker to occupy it, and dissuade the Syndicate from trying to pass. All of our ships are in use, but your ship and your crew could help us take a tanker and secure the blockade. I'm no mercenary. This will not be an assault. Kirk puts a hand on your shoulder. The tanker, the headstream, has been held outside Wellspring for many cycles. The crew is tired and sympathetic to our cause. We'll just give them a nudge. Your ship will pose as an in-distress trader trapped inside the debris field. When the headstream is obliged to rescue, we will board and encourage the crew to take control. We? Kirk laughs. You think I wouldn't come? I'm key to our success. Kirk folds his arm across his chest. Will you do it? I will. I knew you would. I'm glad to have you in our cause, Sleeper. Suddenly Kirk puts two fingers in his mouth and blasts out a shrill whistle. A contractor quickly approaches with a large box, the front marked by screens and dials, and the back by loose cables. You will need this HasNav unit to navigate the debris field. He nods at the contractor. Jens here will install it in your ship. Consider it a gift, from our cause to yours. He nods once more and Jens passes by you, heading for the lift to the docking ring with your new module. I will provide the headstream's coordinates. He moves away towards the contractors, still working on the checkpoint, and I will wait for your word. You leave the pit head behind, your mind racing. You did not know how you have ended up in the middle of all this, but you know that it will be up to you to pilot your way out. Sleeper, Seraphine comes up the passage towards you. What's happening? I heard the pit head is being taken over by Kirk's guys. This, you realise, will take a lot of explaining. New contract. Okay. I am fed, and the dogs are currently eating, so they're happy too. Right. So where are we at? Complete the contract. Okay. So I need 3 fuel for it. Let's just see if we can be doing anything here before we leave. The Rhyme Market. Could always do with more rare components, but I don't have the money for it. What have we got? 4 rare components. Scrap components. Are scrap components the same as Let me just buy one of these and see what... So I've got 5 scrap. Okay. So they are different. Cool. Okay. Let's buy a supply. Probably gonna need those. We don't need fuel, which is good. Again, do I need food? Because I need to test it. I'm not gonna spend money on food. Let's see what happens when I travel though. I forgot last time. But I might as well do a depot shift and spend these dice that I have. Nice. So I'm not missing anything. I think we are good to go. So I don't need Eugene. Yeah, we will use Bliss. The headstream looms large in the cockpit windows as it comes to stop. I can't believe you talked me into this, Seraphine sighs. This is not a good plan. Convincing Seraphine to take Kirk out to this Lortic freighter wasn't exactly easy. But the pit had on lockdown. There really wasn't any other options. Her voice crackles over Seraphine's terminal. Loud enough to hear, but quiet enough that you can't pick out what's being said. Stay silent. You risk the urge to ask. The tension in the cockpit is palpable. All of you are aware that his ruse could fall apart at any moment. Seraphine, you look behind you to see Kirk, floating by the doorway. You keep them talking, alright? Seraphine flicks the comms switch and begins speaking to the Lortic ship, thanking them for responding to the distress signal. Trying his best to play the part of the nervous trader suffering an engine failure in the debris field. Kirk jerks his head for you to follow him into the corridor, and you unclip from your seat and float out behind him. If it's okay with you, I'm going to play the captain on this one. His flat stare suggests he isn't asking for permission. Fine by me. Kirk nods. I appreciate it. Let me tell you how this is going to go. He starts moving down towards the airlock and you follow as he talks. The headstream has been holding here, cycle after cycle, while Wellspring tried to quash our little rebellion. He smiles at the idea. Now the blockade is in effect, well, they'll know that they have to hold out for longer still, while the messages from Lortic operations get less and less frequent. He stops by the lockers, swapping his Lortic uniform for an old flight jacket. This is a ship full of tired, unhappy, underpaid and underfed workers. You both arrive at the airlock. We just have to nudge their anger in the right direction. There is a hiss as the airlock cycles. Lortic are coming aboard. Kirk catches your eye and gives you a wink. The airlock doors scissor open. I've seen that guy before, haven't I? The airlock doors scissor open, revealing a drained-looking Lortic captain flanked by security officers. Lambert, captain of the Headstream. He presents himself immediately, but with little enthusiasm. We have been in communications with your pilot and our docking as requested to provide support. He looks between you and Kirk, his eyes lingering on you a little too long, no doubt taking in the strange vinyl skin, dark glowing eyes, and doll-like face of your frame. He directs his attention to Kirk. How fares your crew? Thank you, Captain. You notice the immediate change in Kirk, his deflated posture a softer speech. We are surviving as best we can, but now that you have come to our rescue, he sighs and holds out an eager hand to Lambert. We are very grateful indeed. Lambert limply shakes his hand. Not to worry, the Lortic Syndicate takes its stewardship of Wellspring and the surrounding environs seriously. It is our duty to offer aid to traders and travellers alike. I'm afraid we don't have much to offer by the way of supplies. Our stores have been depleted by our long posting here, but your crew is free to enter our ship and make use of its facilities while you make your repairs. Kirk continues playing the submissive captain, nodding enthusiastically and uttering a stream of thank yous. You feel like he's pushing it a little, though Lambert only seems to be paying the minimum of attention to him. Suddenly he turns a sharp eye to you. Your pilot didn't mention you had a sleeper on board. Stay silent. Kirk quickly responds. Apologies, they are such a good worker, and quiet too. We sometimes forget they are even here. Perhaps if your ship is in need of maintenance, you can borrow them for a few cycles. Lambert eyes you more brazenly now, taking Kirk's lead as permission to indulge his curiosity. Yes. His eyes trace a tear in the thick skin of your forearm. Perhaps it could be of use to us. Kirk smiles. I will send them to speak with your crew. I'm sure they can direct the sleeper to appropriate tasks. Oh, they'd love that. Lambert jokes. They're a work-shy bunch, this lot. I'm sure they'd be eager for a slave. The word sets you on edge. Stay silent. We're happy to serve. Kirk bows. After all, we owe you our safety. Very good. Lambert seems suddenly bored or tired, or perhaps both. Tell your crew they are free to cross the docking tunnel then. He pauses. But remind them that no funny business will be tolerated. He smiles a sharp smile. I have matters to attend to. Lambert turns. See you later, Captain. And with that, Lambert heads back down the tunnel, still flanked by his two silent security officers. Kirk waits until he is out of sight to turn to you. Good. He lets out a breath. Well held, sleeper. I thought from the look in your eye you were going to knock him out. He chuckles. I know the job. Glad to hear it. Kirk stares down the corridor. Because this dickhead won't hesitate to cut us loose in the debris field if we push him. Trust me. Kirk squeezes your shoulder. Shall we go meet this crew? See what their opinions are on Lortic's administration. He smiles broadly. With a captain like that, I doubt they'll be very positive. Let's take a look around. So this is where Come on, baby, go. shit. Don't really excel at anything. Might as well continue here. Shit. It's already quite high, the crisis. I need to use bliss. Nice. It's quite a lot to do, and I'm already halfway on the crisis. Nice. We cracked that. What's this? Crisis beacon. Oh. I thought... Let's try 4. Why is it only doing... So I have to go around that one on the right 3 times? Maybe I need to do this first. Please. Thank you. Please, one more time. Yeah, boy. One more. One more. Nice. Okay, let's take a look. So Bliss is the only one. So I had to have Kirk on this mission, but he's no good. Kinda. gonna use my push. It better pay off. Nice. Gotta work. Well, we're further ahead on the other one, so let's do this one first. Damn, and I have to go all the way around again. Oh no. Have I done it? Oh. Let's go with Bliss again. Gonna have to use Kirk's dice. Nice. Nice. It's too risky. I'm better off just waiting a cycle, I think. Wow. Got some pretty bad dice from that. Shit. Oh, come on. Shit. I was one away. Bro, oh, fuck's sake. Kirk rushes into the bay you are crossing. It's all kicking off, Sleeper. A growing fear in his eyes. Lambert's lost control. It was the last one as well, that's so annoying. He guides you through the headstream, a ship you have become surprisingly familiar with over the past few cycles. Perhaps it is the influence of getting to know the crew and the complaints around Lambert and the Syndicate, but its twisting corridors, thick pipes and cold metal have taken on oppressive feel. Cycle by cycle, hour by hour. Now as the shouts conflict echo down the corridor ahead, where a room glows with the warm light of the galley, you feel that oppressive pull tightening its grip. It's too early. You know it is. The sickening feeling growing inside you tells you that you haven't got enough support to pull this off. Back away! Lambert's shout echoes like a shot as you enter the crowded galley. A gang of crew members, maybe a third of the total number, is loudly arguing with a smaller group clumped around Lambert. You have all allowed yourself to be swayed by those eager to use you for their own ends. Lambert is shouting across the galley. I'm sorry to have to do this to my own crew, but there must be consequences. You see him glance over his shoulder and tracing his view. You see security officers tensely gathered at the back of the room. You look at Kirk, his panicked expression. Something you aren't used to seeing tells you he notices them too. Then with a nod from Lambert, security moves into the crowd. Neutral, at least it wasn't negative. You launch yourself into the crowd as it pushes forward, the crew resisting Lambert's surge like a wave, their arms up to protect their heads from the security officers' batons. You find yourself at the front, Suddenly, blows raining down. You do your best to shield yourself from them as you lash out in response. Tumbling as you do, you see some of the crew fall back under heavy strikes and you begin to doubt how long this diminishing resistance will hold. Suddenly you hear a panicked squawk above the rumble of shouts. You regain your sense of direction as you see Kirk grappling with Lambert. "Get the hell off me," Lambert screams. The spindly captain is no match for Kirk, who wraps his thick forearms around Lambert's neck and chest, squeezing tight. Security officers begin to strike at Kirk, and you see him flinch as they do, but hold his grip strong. Seeing their moment, the crew wrestle the security officers off Kirk as Lambert's feet kick futilely at the air, his fingers scratching at Kirk's arm around his neck, his eyes rolling back. Help the crew. You scramble forward and join the crew pushing back the security and anyone else resisting them. The tide shifts, the security falling back or floating injured, pushed against the far wall of the room. Small orbs of blood float across the space like a constellation of violence, gently spattering the pale galley walls. Sensing the shift, Kirk releases Lambert, who spins lazily through the air, a trail of spittle leaking from the corner of his mouth. You see his chest rising and falling very slowly. He is alive. From this moment on, the conflict fades. Lambert and the injured are taken to the medical bay under the escort of the resisting crew, now armed with batons. But some of the security see the futility of resisting and agree to join the mutiny. Those who stubbornly remain are taken to the brig. You join the others in cleaning up the galley, the room itself evidence of the brutal takeover this became. People bled and cried out in this room, and you can't help but feel that some of the pain is on you. At some point you have to stop, a hazy feeling coming over your body. You reach up and touch your head and feel a rent in your thick vinyl skin. Should that say dent? When you touch something metal and cold beneath, you withdraw your fingers. Settle yourself here, sleeper. Kirk, bruised and tired, gestures to one of the galley flight couches. Please. You have no energy to resist even if you wanted to. As you settle on the couch and slip your feet up in the straps, Kirk inspects your head. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. You feel him applying some kind of adhesive patch to your wound. But I want you to remember this. I want you to remember that it was Lortic that caused this, that pushed us to the edge and required this of us. Kirk's fingers smooth down the edges of the patch. The blood will always be on their hands. The repair finish, you turn back to face Kirk. Stay silent. I will not be judged. Kirk pushes away from the couch, rising up. Spare your thoughts for the crew. He glances around the room, now almost empty. It is their struggle that lies ahead, handling the ship and the role it must have in the blockade. They will need to calm this violence alone, and retaliation will come. He sighs a heavy sigh. I hope they will be ready when it does. We, however, need to return to Wellspring. Kirk takes a deep breath and lets it out slowly. The struggle goes on. He pushes off from the couch and leaves the room. You take a moment before you follow, taking one last look at the galley. A few crimson stains still dot its walls. You hope this was worth it. Well, it doesn't feel worth it because... whatever. I might have failed it, but this is what I mean by it's like a soft RPG. I think no matter what the outcome was, I was always going to complete this task, just not in the manner that I would have liked. But hey ho. The cut thrums with tension. This steaming city and its brash inhabitants have quietened, not to silence, but to a low rumble of conversation. The blockade is holding, the syndicate is waning, and everywhere there are plans to be made. You and Seraphine float idly in Chasm Row, many stories deep in this wound in Wellspring's side, waiting on Kirk, not far from the first place you met. A meeting Seraphine still has lingering bruises from. Kirk is inside somewhere, and like every other Lortic contractor, he's making plans. Even before you arrived back in Wellspring, he had hijacked the rig's transmitter to speak with his fellow conspirators. and make arrangement for his arrival. Watching Kirk's plot unfold made you realise that, despite your involvement, in the end you are just a subsidiary part of this struggle, a chaotic outside actor, with effect but no real influence. Now, waiting for Kirk's return, you feel a little solace in that. You aren't ready to be dragged into another struggle, not yet. You still have your freedom to win. And looking at Seraphine next to you, you know that he does too. Alright, we're on. Kirk comes out of the passage nearby, nodding to the two of you to follow. He leads you both into the Rhine Market passageways. This time not to the steaming market hall that lies beneath the deepest streets, but to a cramped room, walled with pipes and rusted panels. Wait here. He nods to you both before pushing off and gliding back out of the room. Kirk's briskness is something that has slowly gathered since you left the headstream, eroding your relationship to the point of non-existence. It is not something that surprises you. You know that every time he looks at you, he sees the violence of that final cycle on headstream, the orbs of blood, Lambert's unconscious form. You know that, because every time you look at him, you see the same. Seraphine settles again. You shoot him a look, but his focus is elsewhere, his eyes glazed over. You fold your arms and wait. Sarah? Tala enters so quietly that, in the dim room, you barely notice her. She shoots you a look and a smile as she enters. Thank you, she mouths, silently, and then turns her attention to her brother. Tala. Seraphine says her name like a sigh, like an exhale. He's shaking his head, his eye are already shining with uncontrollable emotion. He rushes across the room, flying into Seraphine at speed. They embrace, softly spinning in the dust and dark, their fingers dug into each other's backs. They separate, a couple of pristine spheres of briny tears spinning away through the air as they do. You're safe, Seraphine nods, taking a breath. I'm safe, she smiles reassuringly, settling him. And in this settling, this gesture of Kerr, you see a whole network of signs and secrets. Tala is the calm to Seraphine's storm, the big sister who eases his heart. She looks him up and down. You are so big, Sarah. She laughs at her own statement. You've grown. She tries to make it sound approving rather than patronizing. You're just the same, sister. Seraphine shakes his head, calling me big but making me feel small. The moment the statement leaves his lips, you feel a chill in the room, and you aren't sure if he meant it. Tala flinches a little, hurt but not wanting to show it. I came to find you. Tala tries again. I needed to find you. Seraphine looks torn, and you see in him something you have come to recognize. The slow and careful raising of his defenses. Why now? He looks away. It's been a long time, Tala. Mom and Dad finally decided they want me to come home. Wanted me to come home? A ripple of emotion runs through Tala, one she can't hide. Sarah, after you left, they're gone. She sighs. I thought you would have. She struggles to find the words. It's been a long time. It has. Seraphine sets his face into a stern look of control. But you know he's raging inside. And in this moment, you feel closer to him than you feel, I think that's supposed to say, you feel even closer to him. You feel closer to him even more than you have felt in a while. Tala folds her arms, trying to regain a little control of the exchange. It's good to see you, Sarah. So good. You know what is coming, and you see Seraphine brace for it too. But I can't leave you. She looks pained. This isn't easy for her either. Seraphine can only nod, a dulling acceptance washing over him. I wanted to find you, and I have. And I can see you are strong and well, and she shoots you a glance. You have your life here. But the people here, the other contractors, they were the ones who found me, who have kept me going since I ended up here, desperate and alone. She smiles warmly. It's not that I owe them, it's that they are my family too. She gently places a hand on his shoulder. I know you understand this. She smiles at you. We all find our families out there. Seraphim smiles a rose smile, his eyes wet. We do, sister. He embraces her again. They separate, and Tala turns her attention to you. I know you will take care of my brother, Sleeper. She smiles. I saw it in your eyes when you came to the pit head. She approaches and puts a hand on your shoulder. I can see you are building something of value on that ship of yours. I'll take care of Seraphim. I'm sure you will. She exhales and takes her hand away. She folds her arms again, her sense of control returning. There is a wisdom and experience to Tala that brings a certain calm to you, and you feel that now. Will you two be staying here for a while? Or... Tala looks between you and Seraphim. Seraphim cuts in before you can answer. Not long. He smiles. We have our own freedom to find. Tala nods. Just be aware. Just be aware. You're free to pass the blockade, but after that, she sighs. Wellspring is going to be locked down for a little while. At least until Kirk establishes his council. Next time you come, she smiles proudly. This will be a very different place. Hearing Tala say this, you suddenly see the authority in her, and realise that one of those council seats may well have her name on it. You look between the two of them and realise they have years to catch up on, and they'd probably rather do that without you watching. You nod to them and slip out of the room. A lilting conversation starting up the moment you leave. As you follow the twisting corridors back up to the chasm row, you smile to yourself at the thought of Tala and Seraphim, reunited at last. You hope this whole adventure will make Seraphim a little less moody, even though you know deep down, it'll probably make him worse. On your way back to the rig, you pass a tired-looking Eugene. We heading out? He sighs. Because I'm not sure I've got another chit left to wager. How much did you lose? He squints his fingers for a second. He squints at his fingers for a second. Making calculations. Too much. He shrugs. Gonna strap myself in for a nap. He disappears into the berths. Later in the cycle, Seraphim quietly comes back to the rig. He immediately settles himself in the cockpit and starts running diagnostics on the engine. He looks up at you as you enter and shoots you a smile. Good to see you up here, Sleeper. I'm getting her ready to head out. Ready to go? Just say the word. He flicks a sequence of switches. Sleeper. Seraphim turns to face you. Thank you. He smiles. I appreciate you bringing us all the way out here. I won't forget it. Will Tala be okay? She's found a place here, and I'm really happy for her. He looks away, out of the cockpit windows at Wellspring. She always was the responsible one. And I was always the one running away. I guess some things never change. Seraphim quietly watches the diagnostics complete, a subtle smile on his lips. One thing is for sure. We've been here too long. Seraphim meets your eye. And we've been seen by too many people. Wellspring may be far out of its Utsubo territory, but I'm sure Lane will find a way to reach his nasty claws out here, given enough time. Let's not give him the chance. Hey guys, Bliss's voice echoes up the passage in the cockpit. They lean in the door, looking between the two of you. Two contractors just dumped a load of fuel outside our ship, said it was a gift. You and Seraphim look at each other. Got to be Kirk. Seraphim gets up. It's either a thank you, or his way of telling us to get going. Seraphim kicks off and glides out of the cockpit. Hey, so, Bliss smiles. While you two have been busy, so have I. Been looking at the rig's drive and I reckon it's due an upgrade. We'll need engine components, quite a few, so keep an eye out. Bliss shrugs. Shipyards tend to be a good place to start. Thanks, Bliss. Bliss wings. Anytime. They sigh. Better go help Seraphim with that fuel. As Bliss leaves the cockpit, you find yourself lost in thought, considering your next step while the icy expanse of Wellspring glitters below. Or you are free to leave Wellspring. You now have a HasNav unit installed and can freely travel through debris fields on the belt map. Sweet! Alrighty then! I wonder how much fuel they gave us. I bet it popped up on screen, I didn't even notice, did I? Wait, so how do I improve the ship? Rig engine. Okay. So I need 8 engine components and I have 5. So I need 3 engine components. And he said the shipyard, right? I'm guessing that's a station. Scrap components, rare components. No, I don't need anything from there, I don't think. We do need supplies, though. Fuck, they're so expensive, man. I wish they'd left us supplies as a present rather than the fuel. I love this song. It's so good. Don't need fuel. Might come back there for a shift. Don't need to do a shift, and I don't need to do a meal from there. So let's just do some depot shifts then. Right, let's get the hell out of here. So I can cut through asteroid belts then. Sweet! But don't I want to go... He said the shipyard, wasn't it? Or was it the scatter yard, he said? Where's this scatter yard? It's all the way down there. Where's this one? Down there, okay. But I'm better off doing this one. Because that's the... But do I can't travel that far. It would have been good to go to Helion's Gate again and get some more components. Oh, that's expensive, bro. Yeah. let's head back to Flotsam. The rig glides safely through a debris cloud, the cockpit empty apart from you and Seraphine. So Sleeper, I've been thinking. Seraphine gives you a sly look over his shoulder. I've been thinking I'm sick of running. We didn't exactly choose it. Maybe that was true when we first got out, sure. But I think we've been choosing it since. I mean, even if we want to keep going the way we have been. We've run out of belt. Beyond Wellspring, it's mostly rocks and emaciated scavengers. And, well, I'm a city boy at heart. But not only that, Seraphine meets your eye. We've been building something here, Sleeper. The crew, the ship, he smiles. Hell, we just got this Hasnav suit for free. He thumps the new unit on the top of his flight console. What I'm asking is, how do you feel about taking Lane on? Tell me more. You've seen what's happening in Wellspring, what Tala's doing. He shakes his head. Kirk is a fool, but he's onto something. Get on the inside. Organize. Undermine. That I can get on board with. I like the sound of that. I bet you do. Seraphine smiles. He's enjoying this. Just think about it, Sleeper. We find a way back onto Darkside quietly. We make some connections. We start something running. He turns back to his console. It has been one hell of a thing. But Tsuba are ruthless. The way they run Darkside, there's got to be plenty of people fed up with them. Seraphine shrugs. And they've gotten worse under Lane. Worse since they pushed the other gangs out. You smile and shake your head at how fast Seraphine can bounce back when he wants to. And as you do, you can't help but consider his plan. Look, maybe it's crazy, but we need a safe harbour either way. I've got a connection in the scatter yards. He'll tuck us away, keep us quiet from everyone. You see Seraphine has his coin in his hand, and is turning it over between his fingers as he speaks. If we want, maybe he can help us get into Darkside. But even if we don't, it's a good place to rest up and make a plan. He turns back to the controls to deal with a rapid beep from the new Hasnav's unit. The scatter yards, you've heard of them. They have a reputation as a fiercely independent set of shipyards, just starward of Darkside, a hiding place right under Lane's nose. However, Seraphine looks at you with concern. Before we try anything drastic, we need to get that body of yours looked at. Stop stalling. Get a diagnostic run on your frame. His expression softens. We're here to back you up. Seraphine turns his focus back to piloting the ship. As you watch debris flit past the ship, you turn your focus to what's ahead. The dogs are play fighting in the background. I saw it. Seraphine comes charging into the bunks. I actually saw it. He's wild-eyed and his breath is ragged. So what? Seraphine takes a moment to catch his breath, suddenly aware of how frantic he sounds. He squints at you. Have you noticed how supplies have been going missing? Every so often when we travel. I have. You suddenly recall the mysterious mess that was left behind in supply storage. Seraphine sees the flicker of recognition in your eyes. So, after it happened a couple of times, I decided to keep an eye on our supply store. Seraphine lowers his voice. You know, check it from time to time. And just this cycle I drifted down there, really quiet. He leans in, and whoosh, something flew past me. He shakes his head. Knocked me right into the wall. Did you get a look at it? Seraphine sighs. It didn't hang around, but it was definitely some kind of creature. Is there really a creature loose on the ship? You look around the berth, suddenly aware that something could be hiding nearby. Tucked into the vents, perhaps. We know this thing likes supplies, right? Seraphine is also glancing around for hiding places. So we lock them down tighter. Keep it out. That way I'll get desperate. And then, Seraphine raises a finger. It'll make a mistake. What are you talking about? Bliss leans in from the corridor. I can hear you all the way in the workshop. Seraphine, there's a creature in the ship. Bliss looks between the two of you with a raised eyebrow. A creature? Are you sure? It's something small and dark. Something fast. Seraphine looks at Bliss. We're going to lock up the supplies to drive it out. Bliss looks at Seraphine. If it's an animal, we don't want to make it any more scared and desperate than it already is. How about we lock up the supplies but leave some out in a special place? Try to bait it. And then grab it. Seraphine mimes the act. No. Bliss looks between the two of you. We show it that it has nothing to fear. We tame it. It didn't seem very tameable. Seraphine rubs his sore ribs. Plus, we've already wasted enough supplies on this thing. You want to give it more? Seraphine turns to you. What do you think, Sleeper? You look between the two of them, still processing the strange situation you find yourself in. Let's try to tame it. Seraphine sighs. What a waste. Alright, Bliss nods. You'll have to come down to the supply store every few cycles and put out some food. Some more food. That way it won't get desperate and do anything dangerous. And I'll lock the supplies up tight. Seraphine folds his arms. It won't get into them anymore. The plan's set. Bliss and Seraphine leave the berth, heading in separate directions. You watch them go. It seems your ship has a stowaway. The question is, how will you deal with it? It's you. A familiar voice echoes down the tunnel behind you. You turn in the passage to see Femi towering over you. He shakes his head. This just keeps getting better. Been a while, Femi. Yeah, I guess. He frowns and glances over his shoulder. Remember Nia? That sister of mine you thought you'd take on a contract? Well, she's taken some inspiration from your little trip. You can see anger burning in Femi's eyes, but there's a tiredness there too. He folds his arms across his broad chest. The symbol crash has been in repairs since we got out of Hexport. Caught up in that whole mess, Femi sighs. So then, stuck here, she gets bored and decides to sign up with another crew. Take a job. I said no, and she went anyway. Femi glares at you. What's that to do with me? Nice attitude. Femi shakes his head. I asked around. Turns out Nia signed on with some idiots heading out to Cutter's End. Femi says the name with an emphasis you can't place. They're as green as you, meaning they have no idea what they are doing going out to a place like that. So you, Femi jabs at your chest with a finger, are gonna take me out there to go get her. Okay, we can do that. Taking some responsibility, Femi smiles. That's what I like to see. Look, I know how these things go. I've got chits, I can pay. Femi grimaces. Can't pay for the parts the symbol crash needs when no one sells them anyway. 250 cryo. Femi folds his arms across his chest. No bargaining. In the meantime, I'm going to try and get the symbol crash ready to make the run herself. He sighs. With the shape she's in, it's not the best idea to head out there alone. You suddenly see the desperation in his eyes. He would risk anything for Nia. I'll be waiting. We need to head out soon. Femi grips your shoulder. Don't test my patience. Femi kicks off and glides back along the passage toward his ship. And don't even think about skipping out of Flossan without me. He calls back to you. Then we're really done. Okay. Come, let's get you inside. John Mee swings open the creaking, corroded door beside his booth. Such a prize must have levied a heavy cost. Glance beside you to Junie, who insisted she came along, and on not letting the prime ship mine out of her sight. Your friend too. Yes, yes, please come in. John Mee beckons and then turns back and disappears inside. Junie squints at you. Are you sure you trust this one? I don't have a choice. She sighs. I suppose not. Lead on then. You both squeeze through the door and drift down into the workshop. You are aware of Junie's eyes wandering across the piles and piles of tech on either side, and you wonder if she recognizing anything among the junk. Sit, sleeper. John Mee is already at the chair, arranging his array of articulated arms. And I'll take that ship mind if you please. Hand it over. You hold the ship mine in front of you and give it a small push so it floats gently over to John Mee. He grasps it with both hands and takes it to a neat little work table in the back you didn't see before, where thick cables float lazily, tethered to the wall. You slide into the chair, hooking your feet behind the bottom bar to hold yourself in place, and watch as John Mee begins connecting up the prime shipyard. A tremble of nervousness runs along your arms. Suddenly you feel Junie's hand clasped around your own. You look over it into her face. Is this okay? I want you to know I'm here. Thanks. She nods silently. John Mee. Junie calls across the room. You're going to need to talk us through what you are about to do. Of course, of course. John Mee is slotting an arm-thick cable into the ship mine. A little patience, please. All of this is very technical. He turns to face you both. What is your friend's name, Sleeper? Junie. Junie answers for you. And I can tell you that you are using a Solheim-built data cradle, modified to handle a prime ship mine. She rattles off at speed, which will work as long as you manage the data flow through a polymer-clad overflow cable looped into the asynchronous cortex cache. That was a tough one. Yes, John Mee eyes her, a small smile crossing his lips. As I said, technical. What will happen to me? John refocuses on you. It depends, he says while preparing the far end of that thick cable. What you are referring to as me. The problem we have is, with your frame, your body, atypical alterations, biosynthetic recording, unusual growth. John Mee shakes his head. From the diagrammatics I have, these are not typical frames. Even those that have been rebooted as you have. In order to investigate safely, I must transplant your emulation. In basic terms, you're mine, but in reality, not so basic. He smiles in an attempt at reassurance. Your emulation is an emulation of a human, and a human mind cannot be separated from its sensorium. The mind-body paradigm has been long disproved. Cognition has physical basis, so I must first distribute the emulation between your hardware and the prime ship mine. The hardware will co-run the emulation, like the two lobes of a brain. He puts his hands together as if in prayer, and then slowly separates them. The motion makes you feel sick. Then for a short period, I will disconnect the two. In those moments you will, in a sense, be in two places at once, though each lobe will be partial. Too long in this state and the two partial emulations would decay, but each disconnect will allow me for a short period of full access to your entire frame and its base system language. I hope this is understandable. John Mee gives you a serious look. One of the most curiously human aspects of sleeper experience is that you, too, do not inherently understand or conceive of the systems that allow your existence. Have you done this before? You are the first sleeper I have encountered, so I must answer no. John Mee smiles apologetically. But I can promise you I have tried these concepts in my own practices. I am familiar with the needs and nuances of artificial minds. Now, before I connect to your frame, let us activate the ship mind. John Mee gestures to Junie. Please, if you would like to come with me and oversee the process, I would be pleased. Junie shoots you a reassuring glance and then glides over to the ship mind, obscuring your view. You hear quiet conversation between the two of them, their silhouettes lit by the flickering screen light of scrolling lines of code. You take a calming breath, but are instantly aware of your aware of how superfluous that action is when your frame requires no oxygen at all to function. There's a certain sensation that accompanies such thoughts, a jarring disconnection, like when descending a staircase. Your foot expects a step and finds void instead. You try to calm the growing anxiety as Junie and John Mee assess the mind. The ship mind is pristine. Junie turns back and drifts towards you. Our care in its extraction seems to have paid off. Junie smiles. This is good news. Junie is indeed right. You have done well. John Mee approaches. I am, however, seeing only minor traces of the protocol that the ship mind was designed to house. The one that ran the ship it was installed in. I would expect to see it in full. He angles his head and lifts his shoulders in a slow shrug. But protocols are not easy to track. In the end, it only saves us the step of extracting it from the mind. Instead, I simply wipe the traces. John Mee stops beside you. A protocol, John Mee adds. It's not like an emulation, like your emulation. It has no integral physical element. It is data only, and therefore could be anywhere in that ship. In the end, its absence does not concern me. Let's get on with it. John Mee nods and lifts the far end of the thick cable you saw earlier. You know this is the end and that will connect to the port on the back of your head. Junie settles beside you again. She gives you a silent look. It's time. You turn to one side to allow access to the port, your eyes fixed on the far wall. You see something among the piled tech there that you hadn't noticed before. A small metal skull-like head, like that of a doll. You frown, trying to focus on the head, and then the cable connects. You are split like a cell dividing, wrenched in two directions at once. The world goes dark and the cloud rushes in to fill the gap at your center. What happened? You ask a question in your mind, and you feel it travel across the gap as it forms, like a finger drawn across your scalp from ear to ear. But not scalp. You have no scalp, no head. You are stretched out like the skin of a drum, looped like the string of a noose. The smallest vibration echoes across yourself like a ripple across a puddle. And then you feel it, a strong pulse, like a heartbeat, like thunder, like footsteps, a flickering, a trembling, a thought coming into being. The thought flickers in front of you, and you recognize that it's not your own. Disintegrate. Thought answers. Apparition. To appear. Dwelling. Indwell. The thought answers. You stretch into infinitude, and a moment after, you contract like waking. Inspire. To grow inside. Substitute. Substrate. The thought answers. Then it approaches. Then it enters. Then it is yours. You split. Then the moment after, you reform, like waking. And in the cracks that seal up, for a moment in those cracks, something glows. Sleeper, I'm here. Your eyes flick open like shutters. Junie's face is close, her eyes wide. They're awake. She calls over your head. She looks back at you. Easy now, take it slow. You twist, floating, turning your head as if you were underwater, feeling the resistance of a body that you had already forgotten. How long has it been? You feel a weight you haven't felt in. You're okay, sleeper. Tell us you are there. Junie leans in close. What happened? The process was successful. John Mee floats beside the chair, his hands clasped in a businesslike fashion. I was able to access the frame directly, without your emulation being present. I ran the administrator level diagnostic processes built into the system, and received the results. It takes a moment to gather himself. Your frame is indeed changing. The protein change that code your biosynthetic organ groups, cell replacement, have been altered. To put it simply, your body is following a new set of instructions. How? This process, the entire replacement of your protein chains, could only have been achieved over multiple doses of specialized substance as part of a carefully planned process of total substitution. That word sticks in your mind. Substitution. You say it without thinking. Yes. John Mee reacts as if you were speaking to him. I believe it could only have been achieved with one substance as the carrier. Stabilizer. Stabilizer. The drug S and R designed to make you dependent on them. The drug Lane fed you to keep you alive. The drug you thought you had escaped. I've just got to let the dog out for a pee. Lane, he did this. John Mee does not respond. This kind of process, John Mee hesitates now, and you realise the bad news is yet to come. Performed over many doses, carefully planned and designed. I cannot think of a way it can be reversed. John Mee looks down. I can say that you are changing. I can tell you how it was achieved, but I can neither stop it nor tell you its ultimate end. I am sorry. I understand. I'm sorry, sleeper. Junie struggles to find words. Perhaps we can find someone else, or... She falters. Try again. You don't feel able to respond. You quietly push yourself away from the chair, your thoughts slow to cohere. You glide back to the door and then out, into the flow of flotsam, the noise and activity passing you by like smoke. In the haze you find that word again, substitute. I begin to wonder what exactly it is you're becoming. Seraphim once more finds you in your bunk. He gently prods you with questions, and you quickly relent. You explain what John Mee said, about your suspicions regarding Lane, and your confusion as to his motivation. You tell him you don't know what this will mean for you in the future. He listens, and when he is done listening, you both sit and wait for the moment to pass. And then you leave the rig, each on your own errands, each knowing that the only option is to keep going until you're forced to stop. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it for the night. We still have quite a bit to do. I feel as though I've maybe like reached like the halfway point of the game, which I wasn't expecting. For some reason in my mind I thought it was like a 12-hour game, but how many hours do I have on the game right now? Let's take a quick look. So far I've got 11.4 hours. So if we are halfway, that means this is going to be like a 20-hour game. But I think it's taking longer to get through the game because I'm reading things. Reading things out aloud. So, you know, if I was just reading it, I'd probably cut through it quicker. But that's a bad thing in my opinion. I'm not good at actually playing games where I have to do a lot of reading. I've probably said this in my last video, but reading out aloud for you guys, if anybody ever watches this video, is making the game better. It's making me get more involved with everything. Everything that's said, the characters. It's been really good. And God, the music is so good. I love it. It's such a hopeful little song. I need to find it on Spotify if it's on there. And see who the composer is. But anyway, thanks to anyone who watches this video, because I know I haven't got a single person to watch any of these videos yet. I guess it will come in time. If I could keep, you know, stick at it, people might go back and watch the videos, and who knows, maybe this game will blow up and suddenly it's the best thing since sliced bread. But please leave a like, maybe even a comment, maybe even subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.